What's the difference between who, whom, and whose? That's what Rodolfo from Brazil wants to know, and that's what we're talking about on this Learner's Questions. Now, can barely hear anything now. If you have a question for Learner's Questions, you can email us on learning.english@bbc.co.uk. And don't forget, at the end of this video, there is a full summary slide. So make sure you check it out. Now, this is a bit of a tricky question, but who, whom, and whose are generally used in two main areas: questions and relative clauses. Okay, regarding questions, and as many of you know, who, whom, and whose are question words, or, if you want to be technical, interrogative pronouns. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm so cool. We use the question word who when asking about a person, and it goes at the beginning of the question. For example, welcome to BBC Learning English. Who do you know? Whom is also used to ask about people, but it is the object form of who. It's quite formal and not really used in speech very much, but you do see it in formal writing. For example, when you're writing a letter to a company and you don't know who to send it to specifically, you can put at the top to whom it may concern. Whom is often accompanied by a preposition, and where it is, we should put the preposition in front of the whom. For example, to whom did you speak yesterday? Whose is also a question word, and it's used to ask about possessions. It acts like a determiner, such as my, his, or her, and because of that, it must be followed by a noun. For example, whose phone is this? Anyone? Anyone? No? Okay. If you have a question for Learner's Questions, you can email us on learning.english@bbc.co.uk. And don't forget to watch until the end of the video where you'll find a full summary slide. Now for relative clauses. There are two types of relative clause: defining, which specifies which noun we're talking about, and non-defining, which adds extra information to a particular noun. Now, I don't have time to explain the rules in full because they're very complicated, but go to our website, bbclearningenglish.com, and you'll find tons of materials to help you with this extremely useful grammar. So, who and whom are relative pronouns that represent a person within a relative clause. Whether it is the subject or the object, who can always be used. For example, the person who lives upstairs is very noisy. That's a subject. But John's the guy who you met yesterday. That's an object. Just like in the question, whom is the object form of who. In a relative clause, it represents a person that is the object of that relative clause. Again, it's mostly formal and mostly used in a written style. For example, the person whom I spoke to denied making any noise. Again, the position of the preposition is important. For the most formal version, put the preposition before the whom. For example, the person to whom I spoke denied making any noise. Okay, just like in the question, whose is used to talk about a possession. And like the determiners my, his, her, its, etc., it must be followed by a noun, so don't forget. It can be used to talk about the possessions of a person. For example, I know a baker whose cakes are delicious. It can be used to talk about the possessions of an animal. It's the story of a dog whose best friend is a cat. What? And it can be used to talk about the possessions of an object. For example, that's the tree whose branches look like a ghost. Thanks for your question, Rodolfo. I hope I answered it to your satisfaction. If you have a question for Learner's Questions, you can email us on learning.english@bbc.co.uk. And don't forget, at the end of this video, there is a full summary slide. So make sure you check it out. I'll see you next time on Learner's Questions. Bye, everybody.